On today's episode of Locked On Mariners, we're going to play a game of Would You Rather with starting pitchers. Plus, Colby will tell you the real way Jarred Kelenic can actually get back on track. Colby, hit it.
You are Locked On Mariners, your daily Seattle Mariners podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
It is Tuesday, February 21st, 2023. This is Trident and Colby Patnode for the Locked On Mariners podcast. Thank you so much for making us your first listen. Subscribe, like, and turn on alerts if you're watching on YouTube, or subscribe and leave a 5-star review on your preferred podcast platform if you like what you hear. And if you want to hear from us even more, please consider signing up for our Patreon. The link as well as our social accounts is in the description below. And on the show today, we're going to play a game of Would You Rather with Major League starting pitchers. Plus, Colby has some thoughts on how to save Jarred Kelenic. But let's start with our game here because Colby has put together 5 starting pitchers, 4, I believe, in the American League, 1 in the National League. He hasn't told me who they are. All he's told me is that they are pitcher A, pitcher B, pitcher C, pitcher D, and pitcher E. And he's given me some numbers that I put on this graphic here. And I assume, Colby, that you have a grander point to make with all of this here. Because I mean, everything that you do is with purpose, of course, right?
Yeah.
Totally.
Sure, let's go with that.
Absolutely.
No, it's not really a game of would you rather. It's more of a blind resume. So if you guys aren't watching on YouTube, the numbers might get a little jumbled. So I'll do the best I can. But essentially, I took 5 stats that I think are relatively fair when comparing pitchers, more so than like ERA and just raw strikeout numbers and stuff like that. So the 5 categories here are Ks per 9, base on ball per 9, home run to fly ball percentage, FIP, and XFIP. And all of these categories, they account for what the pitcher really can control, right? It's ERA. I don't want people trying to compare defenses and ballparks and stuff like that. So all of these are kind of, these stats that I picked are kind of designed to try and eliminate that argument as best you can. I mean, obviously that's still going to come through a little bit, but essentially, I just think Ty should rank these guys, and then I'm going to tell you who each one is, and then I'm going to give you guys a little tip to help some of you. So, should we just run down the numbers here?
All right. Yeah. So pitcher A here has a 815 Ks per 9, 197 walks per 9, 8.5% home run to fly ball rate, 299 FIP, which is actually a pretty common number on here. You see 299 a lot, and then a 329 XFIP. Pitcher B has a 921 K per 9 with a 152 walks per 9, 9% home run to fly ball rate, 299 FIP, 333 XFIP. Pitcher C has a 10 Ks per 9, 269, nice, walks per 9, 10% home run to fly ball rate, 307 FIP, don't shake your head at me, and 323 XFIP. You guys can't see it though. 10 Ks per 9 for pitcher D, along with a 382 walks per 9, 8.4 home run to fly ball rate, 310 FIP, and a 350 XFIP. And then finally, pitcher E comes in with an 867 Ks per 9, a 3 walks per 9, 12.5% home run to fly ball rate, 306 FIP, and a 299 XFIP. So do you just want me to knock these out one by one? Essentially rank them from 5 to 1?
Sure. Give me the pitcher there that these are, by the way, these are 2022 stats, and I'm not implying that they are predictive of 2023. I'm just saying they're the most recent data we have. So why don't you just go ahead, tell me who you think the worst pitcher out of that group is right there.
I'm going to go with pitcher D. Even though he has the highest strikeouts. Even though that he has the highest strikeouts, he's walking nearly 4 guys per 9 innings. He has the highest XFIP out of all these guys as well. So the expected stats don't favor him that well in comparison, relative to the other 4 guys here. I mean, he's not giving up a lot of home runs. I mean, he's given up the fewest home runs out of all 5 of these guys. But yeah, I mean, there's more to pitching than just strikeouts. Like, you can't walk guys. You can't walk 4 guys per 9 innings. I don't want that. So I'm going to go pitcher D at number 5.
Pitcher D is Cy Young contender entering the season, Dylan Cease of the Chicago White Sox.
Wow.
So Dylan Cease is, and by the way, when we say he's the worst pitcher of this group, like this rotation
Hmm.
would win 110 games. Like that's how good all these guys on this list are.
Right.
But
Right.
so we're not saying Dylan Cease is bad or he's not, worthy of Cy Young consideration or anything like that. But yeah, pitcher D is Dylan Cease. So 3.82 base on ball per nine, and the high xFIP kind of knock him out of the top four here.
Yeah.
So
I'll go
who's next?
pitcher E. I'll go pitcher E at number 4. Because he
Okay.
has the second highest walk rate. He's not striking out a lot of guys. He gives up a ton of home runs. I mean, 12.5% home run to fly ball rate. I don't know what that looks like on the grand scale here, right? But the rate is extraordinarily high relative to everyone else here. So that, yeah. But 306 FIP, 299 xFIP. The expected stats really love him. So yeah, that puts him slightly above Dylan Cease for me. Who is this?
So the home run to fly ball rate doesn't hurt him as much as you might think, because he is perhaps the most premier ground ball pitcher in all of baseball, and he happens to pitch against the Mariners quite a bit. Pitcher E is Framber Valdez of the Houston Astros. So again, very good pitcher.
Very good pitcher. Yeah.
Yes, but yeah, lots. When you can't get the ball elevated against him, you can't hit home runs. It's tough. It's tough. So, yeah. I mean, again, these are really small differences in the grand scheme.
Right. I have to nitpick. I have to nitpick here with these guys.
That's the point, right? That's the point. Is this is designed to not be easy. All right. So who's number 3?
I'm gonna go pitcher C.
Okay.
Obviously, 10 strikeouts per 9. But he has the highest walk rate out of the remaining guys. 10% home run to fly ball rate. The 3.23 xFIP is the best of the 3 guys remaining, but his FIP is higher than the other 2 guys. I just, again, I have to nitpick here. So I'm just gonna go pitcher C at number 3 here. Who is this?
Pitcher C is Seattle Mariners ace Luis Castillo.
Ooh.
So, yeah, quick recap here. It's been Dylan Cease at 5, Framber at 4, and Luis Castillo at 3. Castillo does have the highest home run to fly ball rate of those left, the highest walk rate of those left, and the highest FIP, although, again, it's by 0.08. So, statistically not that relevant, but there you go.
So, I'm gonna rank him number 2, but I'm pretty sure I know who this pitcher is. Pitcher A Sandy Alcantara.
Pitcher A is Sandy Alcantara. Yes.
Yeah.
National League Cy Young Award winner.
Yeah.
Sandy Alcantara, which I believe Ty and I both correctly predicted a year ago in this time range that he would win the 2022 Cy Young Award. So, yeah, pitcher B is Sandy Alcantara. So
pitcher A.
Pitcher A,
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So pitcher B is your best pitcher out of this group, huh?
Yeah, I mean, like he's not giving up a ton of home runs. The FIP is excellent, obviously the same as Alcantara there. He's striking out, but I get 9 strikeouts per 9. So that's kind of, again, we're nitpicking here. And also I get 0.5% off of the walk rate as well. Like, dude doesn't walk guys. He's not giving up a ton of home runs. He's striking out 9 guys per 9. Yeah, I'm going to go pitcher B here.
Yeah. Second highest xFIP of the group. But again, we're talking about decimal points here.
Right.
Well, Ty, pitcher B, who you said is the best pitcher of this group, is none other than Seattle Mariners second-year pitcher George Kirby.
I had a feeling. When you mentioned Castillo, I was like, oh, okay, that was the guy that he was trying to make a point about. No, it is George Kirby after all. Yeah, that now that I think about the numbers though, like the walk rate, the home run to fly ball rate, yeah, that makes a ton of sense that it's Kirby. And I mean, that's what we've been saying here, man. George Kirby is the truth.
Right. So here's the point.
Mm-hmm.
If you guys can do it, which I know a lot of our listeners cannot, run to the sports books like FanDuel before it's too late, because Sandy Alcantara is the favorite tied with Corbin Burns, who, even though he cost the Brewers the playoff spot, is still very good. He is the favorite in the National League Cy Young Award race. Dylan Cease is third on the Cy Young race right now. Luis Castillo is actually in the top 10 at plus 1,600. Framber is at plus 2,000 right below him. And all the way down, you got to scroll all the way. George Kirby, even though it has gone up in recent days, plus 7,000.
Oh, it's no longer plus 8,000.
No, it's plus 7. So people are getting wise to this. So you guys got a shot here to go on our terrific sponsor and bet on George Kirby to win the Cy Young, because as Ty just showed you, he's better than Sandy Alcantara.
I mean, clearly. That's exactly what I was saying. I'm surprised that Framber has lower odds than Luis at this point, because I mean, I feel like given his postseason run, that they would overhype the hell out of him over at really any sports book, Vegas in general.
Hashtag not medical advice, but Hey, honestly, Luis at plus 1,600, that's not bad either. So
that's pretty good. Good. All right, well, that would have been a good transition into our FanDuel ad read, but FanDuel is actually scheduled for our second ad read today, so instead we're going to be talking about Built Bar here. Looking for a delicious treat but don't want all the fat and calories, and you got to try Built Bar. We just got through the holidays, and I know my goal is to eat a little healthier this year, and if you're like me where you want to eat healthier but don't want to compromise taste, then man, I've got just the thing for you. You got to try Built. With Built, healthy is actually tasty. Seriously, they're so delicious you won't think they're good for you, which is perfect for your New Year's resolution. And what makes Built Bars so good? Well, for starters, they are all covered in 100% real chocolate. That's right, real chocolate. And they come in unbelievable flavors like churro, peanut butter brownie, and coconut almond. I'm not sure how Built does it, but these bars taste like a candy bar while maintaining amazing macros. And what's even better is that they are healthy. Only 130 calories and 4 grams of sugar with a whopping 17 grams of protein. And now you don't need to wait around to get yourself a box. For years, we've been talking about ordering your Built Bars at Built.com. Now you can get them at your local Walmart or Sam's Club. That's right. Head to your nearest Walmart today, walk to the pharmacy section, and grab yourself a box of Built Bars. You can pick up a 4-bar box of cookies and cream, double chocolate, or coconut puffs. And if you're close to Sam's Club, run in and grab yourself a 13-bar box with our hit flavors, brownie batter, and churro. You can thank me later. You're listening to the Locked On Mariners podcast. Thank you again for making us your first listen. So Locked On is polling all of our hosts, including us, to determine who are the top 10 starting pitchers in both the American League and the National League. But I want us to focus on the American League here. The options that they've given us, there isn't a write-in option. They've just given us the pitchers with the highest odds to win the Cy Young on FanDuel. So let's go through all of these pitchers on here, some of which we just talked about. So Jacob deGrom, Garrett Cole, Alek Manoah, Dylan Cease, Carlos Rodon, Shohei Ohtani, Shane McClanahan, Framber Valdez, Shane Bieber, Luis Castillo, Kevin Gossman, Christian Javier, Robbie Ray, Tyler Glasnow, Logan Gilbert, Nestor Cortez, Tristan McKenzie, Lance McCullers, Tyler Anderson, and Lucas Giolito. Why is Tyler Anderson on here and not George Kirby?
Let's start here. If you're betting on Tyler Anderson to win the Cy Young, you need help.
You should just light your money on fire.
Yeah, like seriously, just go dump it on the counter and then walk away. You're never going to see it again. Yeah, that's dumb. Kirby's better than about half the guys you listed there. Yeah, but hey, there's some. Hey, I mean, like, we're not trying to turn this into the betting episode, but Lucas Giolito behind Tyler Anderson, like, I know he didn't have a good year last year, but like, come on. So yeah. It's interesting. Robbie Ray's still there. Logan Gilbert's still there, even though Kirby had a better year last year than both of them. Yeah, I mean, personally, when you read that list, I think Seattle has 4 of the 20 best starters in the American League. I don't think that's a far stretch. So now, the sports books haven't caught up to how they should be valued because I'm ranking the 4 Mariners starters right now. I mean, it's Luis 1, Kirby 2, and then a real debate between Logan and Ray. So yeah, I mean, basically, I haven't voted, and I refuse to because I will not pay homage to the disrespect that is being shown to George Kirby,
Absolutely.
2023 Cy Young Award winner. So, no, I will not vote in this. But also, yeah, the Mariners pitching is very good. That
And
should
yet,
be your
even though
takeaway.
that you and I are both not voting in this for now, as in protest in favor of George Kirby, I'm the only one getting called a diva in our group chat. For some
I know.
reason.
I thought that was weird. I think they maybe got you and I mixed up or something. I don't know.
I don't know, man. Javi was coming for my neck last night. Shout out to Javi of Locked On Padres.
Locked On
But
Padres.
yeah.
Well, I mean, you guys had that rapport, right? You know, you kind of went on his show and you bashed the Mariners, and they started a 14-game win streak. Yeah, so you know.
Yeah, that was. See, I was the reason that they turned their season around and ended the drought. Of course, right? It was all me. It was all my doing. All right,
Okay.
so yeah. Just go with it for once, please. Just let me have one. No.
No.
All right, so yeah, I would put Kirby as a very close to with Luis Castillo in the Mariners rotation if I had to rank these guys. I think that gap is pretty close and could be closed fairly quickly. And that's nothing against Luis Castillo. I just think that Kirby, with that command and all of his pitches working, the sky is the limit for George Kirby. Legitimately talking about a Cy Young contender here in Kirby. That's why we're pounding the table about this whole thing with him, because you and I both truly believe that he has what it takes this year to go and do it. So, you know, but, you know, the Gilbert Ray debate is interesting, right? Because I mean, like, I'm sure a lot of people in our comments right now are picking Gilbert definitively. Gilbert, because I mean, a lot of people just hate Robbie Ray, and we talked about that whole thing. But I think that's a pretty close. I think that one could go either way, really. I'd say Kirby is locked in at 2 for now, and then Castillo locked in at 1. But number 3 is definitely up for debate for sure.
Well, I mean, I don't know, Ty. According to you, Kirby was better last year than Castillo, so maybe Kirby should be number 1.
That's true too. That's true too.
So
right?
We literally just did the exercise.
That's true. Yeah, with the context of 5 stats. Yep. And nothing
5
else.
Stats,
yeah.
Yep.
5.
Those are the only 5
stats
that matter.
Of course, naturally.
Sure. Yeah, I do wonder if maybe like Mariner fan, or maybe just us in general, if we've kind of like overlooking Logan Gilbert and his ability to get a little better, because we haven't talked about Logan really at all. To be fair, we haven't been asked about him really at all. In terms of the starting pitchers, we have gotten fewer questions about Logan Gilbert than any of the other 5.
Do you think that's just because maybe, I don't know, I kind of feel like I'm like this with Gilbert as well, that I kind of am just complacent. Like I know what I'm gonna get out of Logan Gilbert, and maybe the splitter that we're hearing about changes some things if it's actually real and a viable pitch that he can use in games against major league hitters. Like maybe that changes things, but overall I kind of feel like I know what I'm gonna get out of Logan Gilbert.
I feel like he has a very high floor. But I think there's probably more ceiling, regardless of if the splitter really helps or not, or if it exists. Until we see it, it doesn't exist. So, yeah, I wonder, because, you know, there are other ways for Logan Gilbert to get better without adding another pitch. For example, he could find more command of that slider. And if we know what happens when Logan Gilbert has 2 pitches that are both at, 60 on the night.
Dominant.
Yeah, he can dominate any lineup in baseball. But we also know how often that happens. Typically, Logan's thing is he has his fastball. Well, I would say like 85% of the time, he'll have his good fastball and he'll be able to command it. And he'll have one other breaking ball or off speed pitch that's like 45 or 50 that night. And with that combination, he's still been like a really solid number 3 starter since basically he stepped on the big league field. So can he take that next step? Can he be a number 2, or can he be like a 3+ type of arm without a new pitch? I think he can. It's just a matter of he's got to find a way to get that slider more competitive, because there are a lot of times where on any given night, it's just Gilbert's fastball and he's just living off of it. And that's a really good pitch because of the extension, because of the velocity, because of the command, but you need more than one. And so I think if Gilbert can, either refine the slider or if the splitter's a legitimate, true, major league quality pitch some point this year, then I think Gilbert still has another gear that he can get to.
What would you say his ceiling is then?
Gilbert?
Yeah.
Number 2.
Number 2? Yeah.
I think somewhere in the range of like Aaron Nola, somewhere in that range, I think he can get to.
I mean, Aaron Nola is a Cy Young contender. So
right. I mean, do it a little differently, but yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think we're ever going to see Gilbert put up like the 10.5 K per 9 or anything like that. But I think he can settle in right around 9 and have the walks below like 2.5 per 9 and limit some of the hard contact, because Gilbert gives up a lot of hard contact because he's a fastball heavy pitcher. So
yeah, he finds a lot of barrels.
Right.
I mean, it depends on the night, of course.
Right.
But I mean, you think about like the Toronto start, a couple of years back, like
he's more susceptible to it because if he doesn't have the pinpoint command of his fastball, he typically doesn't have anything else to counter with it.
Right.
So when he leaves the fastball down or in the middle of the plate, which he's prone to do, it's going to get hit hard because they're up there looking for a fastball. So that's why I think it's important to have another pitch, either the splitter or the slider. He just has to have something that he can both throw for strikes and get guys to miss. That's kind of the key to Gilbert taking the next step.
All right. So when we were talking about, what to talk about on today's show, you said I could talk about how to save Jarred Kelenic, the real way to save Jarred Kelenic. So we're going to get into that in just a moment, but real quick, a reminder, this episode of Locked On, I'm scared. This episode of Locked On Mariners is brought to you by FanDuel. The midway point of the NBA season is here, and now is the perfect time to download FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because new customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's bonus bets back if your first bet doesn't win. Just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app. It's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Plus, FanDuel lets you combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payout with a same-game parlay. So don't miss your chance to get your no-sweat first bet up to $1,000 in bonus bets when you go to FanDuel.com/LockedOn. That's FanDuel.com/LOCKEDON to learn more. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. And you're listening to the Locked On Mariners podcast. Thank you again for bringing us your first listen. So, Colby, how do the Mariners save Jarred Kelenic? Or how does Jarred Kelenic save himself?
Yes, by doing something that will allow him to fix the problems I'm about to point out. I'm not a swing guy. I'm not going to tell you what he has to do with his hands. I don't know.
Swing doctor Colby Patnode.
Sure. Yeah, so here's the deal with Kelenic, right? I see this a lot of theories about Kelenic and like how he needs to get better, what he needs to get better at. I've seen, the shift will help him, and like the shift ban will fix Jarred Kelenic. No, that's dumb. I'm sorry, that's dumb. He needs to go out there and just needs to let loose and have fun, like Julio. Like that's it, huh? That's the only thing that's preventing Jarred Kelenic. He's too uptight. That's what's preventing him. And while both of those theories could help, I mean, they could legitimately help Jarred Kelenic, they're not going to solve the problem for Jarred Kelenic, right?
Yeah, like I think there is like a bit of a mental side to it, because he is a guy that is clearly pressing at times. Mm-hmm. He gets caught up a little too much in his head. I think that's pretty clear. But yeah, it's not everything for sure.
No. And on the other hand, how much fun can you possibly fake when you're, hitting a $130? Right. It's pretty tough to fake that. So while there are pieces here that will help, the shift ban or restrictions will help Kelenic some, but those are really band-aids on a wound that needs stitches. Like it's helpful. It helps. It's better than nothing, but you need surgery. You need to fix this before it gets, incurable. And here's the issue with Kelenic, at least last year. One of them we already know. Jarred Kelenic strikes out way too much, right? Last year, Jarred Kelenic ran a 33.7% K rate. His rookie year was 28.1, so it actually got worse, and it wasn't good in his rookie year. So that's a big one, right? He needs to make more contact. However, the type of contact he makes is equally as important because last year, Jarred Kelenic had a 15.5% pop-up rate. These are different than fly balls. Fly balls go into the outfield. Fly balls can turn into home runs. Pop-up rates are just straight up in the air. They do not count for anything. The batting average on balls that are classified as pop-up. Ty, you want to take a guess on what it is?
Ugh. No, you just tell me. I don't want to dive into that.
0.010. Yeah, 1 in 100 pop-ups goes for a hit. They are effectively strikeouts. Really, pop-ups are strikeouts. Kelenic had a 15.5% pop-up rate last year. If you're wondering, major league average, 7%. Kelenic popped the ball up more than twice as much on average as the average major league player. Essentially, when you add those up, 49% of Jarred Kelenic's at-bats last year ended in a strikeout or a pop-up, where the batting average of those two events is never higher than 12, 13, 10. That's it. Like, not 100, not 1 out of 10.
No.
1 out of 100.
Yeah.
So nearly half of the at-bats that Jarred Kelenic took last year, he had no chance to get a hit, to get on base. That's the problem. It's not the shift. It's really not. Kelenic, I think he has this reputation as like, he's this massive pole hitter, and he's not. He's not. Jarred Kelenic going the opposite field is not an issue with him. In his career, he's a 24.5%. Major league average is 25.4%. Last year it was 25.2. So basically league average in going to the opposite field. He actually was up the middle, far greater than major league average. Last year was 48%. Major league average is about 37%. Kelenic is not a dead pole hitter. He can go the opposite field. He can go up the middle. That's not the issue. The shift isn't going to help him that much. It's the strikeouts. He needs to stop striking. He would be so much better off hitting a weak ground ball than he would popping the ball straight up in the air, because the weak ground ball might get through. It might find a hole. There might be an error. Your odds of getting on base with a weak ground ball or a soft line drive or even just a regular fly ball are significantly higher than with the pop-up. It's not the shift, guys. He's not having enough fun, right? He's hitting the ball too softly, which
and I guess another way, and this is going to be a very simplified version of it, I guess he's also elevating the ball too much, or he's elevating the swing too much, right?
Well, launch angle last year, 18%, or 18-degree launch angle. Major league average, 12. That's a problem, right? Again, the more balls you hit in the air, that's not a problem. The more balls you hit straight up in the air, you're screwed. And here's the deal with Kelenic. When he does get the bat angle right, when he does connect, he doesn't have any issue hitting the ball hard. We know that. When the ball is thrown in a place that Jarred Kelenic can cover, which is in a wide spot right now, he has no issue finding the barrel. Last year was 13.6% barrel rate. Major league average is 6.7. Jarred Kelenic can find barrels when you throw the pitch in one of the few spots he can cover. And that's the problem. Jarred Kelenic doesn't cover the plate well enough. So the strikeouts are up, the infield pop-ups are up, and everything else is down. And that is the issue. So Jarred Kelenic's swing needs an overhaul. His approach needs an overhaul. He needs to put the ball in play more, but more importantly, he needs to put the ball in play in a manner in which he has a chance to get a hit, in any chance. So that means more ground balls. Fine. You'd rather have a 50% ground ball rate than a 15% pop-up rate. That is the issue with Jarred Kelenic. It's not the shift. It's not, his attitude. It's not that he's lazy. It's none of those things. It's that Jarred Kelenic, is half of his at-bats, he had essentially a 1 in 1,000 chance of reaching base in half of his at-bats. Can't do it. There's not a hitter alive who can pull that off.
Yeah. You just don't have a shot. You don't. Again, what was the number that you said? 49% of his at-bats either resulted in a strikeout or a pop-up?
33.7 strikeout.
Yeah.
15.5 pop-up. So
literally half of the time.
49.2%.
Crazy.
Yep.
Yeah.
And again, Kelenic does some things really well.
Yeah.
When his pitch is in his zone, he will barrel it up. And he draws walks. 9.3% walk rate in his career.
Yeah.
Major league average is 8.4.
He's had some big walks too.
Yeah. We know there's power. We know that there's plate discipline. Jarred
Mhm.
Kelenic is swinging and missing too much.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really all it is. It's not rocket science, right? We're not the first ones to say this, but I do think that there are issues here, and I think it's plate coverage wise. And I'll just give you this example, Ty. In 2022, he had 54 at bats in on a breaking ball, right?
Mhm.
Of those 54 at bats, he struck out in 29 of them. He had 3 hits in those 54 at bats. Only one of them was for extra bases.
Hmm.
Jarred Kelenic's slash line on breaking balls last year, 0.56 with an 0.74 slugging. You see the problem there? Launch angle, 20%. So exit velocity, 83.9. Kelenic couldn't hit breaking balls last year.
Yeah.
The shift isn't gonna fix that.
Yeah.
So stop saying it's the shift. We need to start looking at other things, more tangible things. And again, the shift will help some, but let's say hypothetically, right? It gives Jarred Kelenic 30 points of batting average, the shift, which seems high, but let's say it happens. Okay. His batting average jumps to 171 last year.
Yeah.
And because these are almost all singles, his on base percentage jumps to 250 and his slugging is still sub 400.
Yeah.
That's not a good player.
Yeah.
So stop saying it's the shift. It's lazy. It's beyond lazy to sit here and say Jarred Kelenic will be fixed because of the shift restrictions.
Yeah, it's I mean, this is applicable to any player when we're talking about the shift restrictions. It's going to lead to more singles and
Maybe.
probably, an uptick in batting average by like 5 to 10 points at best.
Mhm.
That's about it. That's about it. You're not going to see guys start to, slug more. You're not going to see, significantly higher on base rates. You're not going to see that. It's just, in singles, especially in today's game, where it's just so hard to string together hits, aren't as valuable as you may think it is. So, yeah, he's got to change his whole approach, his whole game plan going to the play, because it's not just about getting on base for him. It's also about doing what he does best, or what his traits say that he can do best, which is hit for power, hit for value, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Doubles, triples, home runs. That's what Jarred Kelenic needs to be doing more. And he needs to be
And
doing that with more consistency.
Mm-hmm. And nobody's ever hit a home run by hitting a pop-up to the shortstop.
Exactly.
So yeah, it's not as simple as you guys want to make it. It's not. They still have hope for Jarred Kelenic. I know that comes off sounding like Kelenic's a bust. He's never going to figure it out. No, I still have hope for Jarred Kelenic because of the things he does well. He still hits the ball hard. He can still hit home runs. He still draws walks. He's got to fix that, because again, there's not a hitter on the planet who can essentially strike out 50% of the time and be a good major leaguer. Cannot happen.
All right. So before we sign off here, I want to, you're going to like this. I want to address a very common comment that we get on our YouTube channels. Why doesn't Ty have any Mariners memorabilia behind him?
It's a good question, Ty.
Yeah. Clearly, I hate the Mariners. I only do this for the money, right?
The tens of dollars.
Let's just ignore the Mariners hat that I'm wearing, or the Mariners colored flannel that I'm wearing. See? Northwest green, baby. Northwest green. What's that color right there? Northwest green and navy. All right. Speaking of Jarred Kelenic, look who I got back here. See? All right. And then we also got the Ichiro Hall of Fame bobblehead right over there. See, it's just my camera. The camera is kind of shrunk in here. You can't really see much. Really, all you can make out is my Cowboy Bebop record and maybe my Cuddy records, and that's about it. I also have a Mariners bat mug. So there, that answers it definitively. I have Mariners memorabilia behind me. You just can't really see it. Sorry.
Ty, I'll be honest with you. I'm shocked that your local Goodwill had so much Mariners stuff for you to pick up last night.
Look, I had to rush. All right, I was feeling pressed. I was like,
right.
I have to convince these people that I'm actually a Mariners fan when I'm not, because again, I'm doing this for the money.
The tens of dollars. Yes.
Yeah, the literal pennies that we're making. So no, but yeah. So there you go. That answers it for all of you. Hopefully, maybe there will still be doubters out there. I'm sure there will be. Colby is still one. Yeah. All right. Well, I have a cold and my face is starting to leak, as you could probably see on the YouTube version of this show. So that's going to do it for our show. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Locked On Mariners podcast. For Colby Patnode, I'm Trident Gonzalez. Be sure to give us a follow on Twitter at LO_Mariners. You can follow me at Dane Gonzalez, that's DANEGNZLZ, and Colby at CPAT11, that's CPAT11. And you can also find all that stuff in the description of this episode. Don't make fun of me. I am a sick person. Thank you again for making us your first listen. Now make your second listen. Locked On MLB Prospects. Host Lindsey Crosby is at Prospect Encyclopedia. Shut up. And he's going deep on the MLB stars of tomorrow. It's free and available wherever you get your podcasts, just like us. And with that, have yourself a beautiful baseball day. And we'll see you tomorrow. Peace.